to take your life under the dead of night with the horsemen right, or do you mean to die? Oh yeah, yeah.
What is up, y'all, and welcome to episode 56. Can you believe we've made it to 56 episodes of the Horsemen podcast? And it's a triple threat crew for this time around. Myself, Levi, joined by, of course, Ricky.
Yellow.
And Raphael. So yeah, only three of us this time around, as Arthur is busy with work, Hannah is doing seminars, and Pixie couldn't make it because she needed to get some sleep. But we have their lists ready for this episode, and for this episode, top 10 Bathory songs.
Bathory.
One of the godfathers of black metal, and if you want to say they created Viking metal, then there you go. Even though Viking metal's not a real genre.
It's just a gimmick.
Exactly. But figured a good place to begin with this episode is to talk about how we discovered Bathory and what's their impact been on not just extreme metal, but music in general. How I got into Bathory was I got into them a little bit later, because during my high school days, I was only into thrash and death metal. Then after getting out of high school, I started to get into other styles like prog metal, and finally starting to get around to listening to black metal, which I swore I thought I would never listen to black metal in my life. But, after you get older and you understand the music, that's where I got into Bathory. And then, of course, discovering after the black metal years, getting into the Viking era of the early 90s and so on and so forth. Now Bathory's become one of my top 20 favorite bands of all time, and I mean, hell, here's your proof. I got a lot of their albums. So, and then the other way I got into Bathory was thanks to the Grand Theft Auto 4 Lost and the Damned soundtrack, where they had Call from the Grave on their LCHC station with Max Cavalera as the DJ, which was really, really cool. And at first, that song scared the shit out of me when I first heard it on that game for the first time. But that's how I got into Bathory. Ricky?
So the thing with Bathory about me is almost the same thing as you with black metal. I didn't get into black metal because I thought black metal was one of the most scariest things ever to get into, because I was more death metal oriented. But as the years went by, of course, with Venom was the first black metal that I got into. And then, of course, that led into the other bands like Mayhem, The Norwegian, and Cut the Cross, Sarcophago. But Bathory was the one band that stood out the most, because Bathory, what Quarsons did throughout his entire career was always rejuvenate himself, always one step of the curve, from black metal to Viking metal, to power metal, to even some tech thrash. But the thing about Corson was that he always had something in mind. He didn't want to just be stuck in black metal. And to that point, I mean, Corson, he was a multi-instrumentalist. He played guitar to bass, vocals, even drums at one point. Mm-hmm. Just to show you how much of a talent he was. And it's a shame that he died so young. I think he was nearly 38
years old. Yeah.
38, around that age. But just to show you how much I love Bathory, look at this stack of CDs.
Holy!
Just look at them. They're probably my favorite black metal band next to Venom. And to show you that I have almost everything. I have everything from the debut, the return, Under the Sign, which is my favorite, Blood, Fire, Death, Hammerheart, Twilight of the Gods, Blood on Ice, and Norlands 1 and 2. Yeah,
And
but you're gonna say you're missing Rookham, you're missing Octo, you're missing the story of worlds. I've said it before. Rookham and Octagon, I try getting to, I just can't. Something in my brain just doesn't connect with them. This story of worlds, kind of there, but you know, Bathory is one of the greatest black metal bands of all time, and they're one of my favorites. Raphael, how did you get into Bathory?
I mean, I've heard their name so many times, and I'm like, what the fuck is Bathory? And then I'm like, I started listening to them. I'm like, oh, so this is Bathory. But when I first started listening, I didn't go to a black metal, I went to a power metal. I'm like, the hell? but but then I discovered they were black metal when Sam Dunn put them in the top black metal, and he said that the Beast of the Black Mark was like one of the first that brought the black metal. See, I'm like, oh, so they used to be black metal.
Mm-hmm.
I checked that out. I did, and then I just got into Bathory after that. I just regret I don't have it. Sadly, I don't have any albums of Bathory, at least not yet. Maybe I'll go to the record store later and buy one.
Which you need to, because
if I find it.
Yeah, because you can't go wrong with any Bathory album. I mean, probably the thing about Bathory is that you can go so many ways. You can like either the black metal phase, which is the first 3 albums. You can go the Viking metal way, which is probably from Bloodfire Death to even Twilight of the Gods. You can even like the tech thrash or Rectum and Octagon, or you can like the power metal Viking folky influence of Blood on Ice to the Norland albums. You can't go wrong with any Bathory album. It just depends on it just depends on taste, perspective, and what you're looking for in your black metal / power metal. Because my God,
we'll just call it extreme metal in that case, because it's just like
or as Dan said, just call it freaking Devin Townsend metal, because Devin Townsend just plays everything.
Because even a couple of songs on The Return has a death metal vibe. Like some parts where Corthon's doing death growls as opposed to the black metal shriek.
Yeah. And I want to get this right now out of the way. To the people who say Bathory was the first black metal band, no. I am sorry, but no.
No, they're not.
The first and black metal band was fucking Venom. I don't know why a lot of people think that Bathory was the first. Bathory wasn't the first. Bathory perfected black metal. They were the priests to their Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. I think I know why they get confused. It's because
it's because when you compare the two side by side, it's like Venom not nearly as black metal as Bathory when it comes to black metal by today's standards.
Mm-hmm. And come on, I mean, a fucking goat set. Look at that iconic goat set. Funny. I wonder where they got the idea from.
You got the shirt. Remember? You got the shirt right there.
Here.
Yeah, right there. Venom black metal. But I think I know why people get confused with that. Oh, wait, Venom, they created as far as the genre.
The imagery and the lyrical content.
Lyrics.
But in terms of the musicality, it was Bathory.
And also as far as the image, it was Bathory, because they started the whole ghost paint thing.
Alright, so with all that said, let's talk about honorable mentions from everybody's list. I'm going to start off with Pixie's honorable mentions, because she has 19 songs.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I love the girl, but damn, she picks the most longest list and not even on the top 10s.
So we begin with, Ricky, you're going to love these. Pax Vobiscum and Prostitution from Requiem.
Oh, God. Okay, in my defense, Prostitution is an okay song.
Yeah. And she put in the reason is because she loves the lyrics on both of the songs. Next she has Nocturnal Obedience off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark. um, In Conspiracy with Satan off of
The
the
debut.
first album. The song Revenge of the Blood and Ice from Blood on Ice.
Mm-hmm.
One Road to Asabe from Hammerheart.
Oh, God.
I know. Bleeding off of Destroyer of Worlds.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Gods of Thunder, of Wind, and of Rain off of Blood on Ice.
Mm-hmm.
Shores and Flames off of Hammerheart. Here it is. Next up, she has The Return of Darkness and Evil off of The Return.
Mm-hmm.
Pace Till Death off of Blood, Fire, Death. The song Requiem. Necrotus from Requiem. Storm of Damnation off of the self-titled. Twilight of the Gods off of Twilight of the Gods. Necromancy off of the first album. Blood, Fire, Death from Blood, Fire, Death. War. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Then War off of the self-titled. And then finally Sadist off of The Return.
Wow, she almost killed me with Blood, Fire, Dead and her honorable mentions because I have it in the top 3 around there.
All right, so next up for Hannah's top honorable mentions.
Hannah, she had just 2 honorable, actually 3 honorable mentions. No, actually 2 honorable mentions. She had Hades and Woman of Dark Desires. Hades from the debut and Woman of Dark Desires from Under the Sun of the Black Mark. With Archer, let me go to Archer's honorable mentions. He had One Road to Azabe from Hammerheart, Under the Runes from Trial of the Gods, Mother Earth, Father Thunder from Norland 1, or I think it was Norland 2. Yeah, Norland 2. Destroyer Worlds from Destroyer Worlds, Necromancy from the debut, and Revenge of the Blood and Ice from Blood and Ice, and Vinland from from Norland 1.
All right, and now time for our honorable mentions. For me, I have 8. I have To Enter Your Mountain from Twilight of the Gods. I have Sacrifice off of the debut. And Warbringer did a great cover of this song too recently as well. Psychopath from Octagon. If there's one song from Octagon I really love, it's Psychopath. It is like a pure Swedish heavy thrasher right there. And Korthon kind of almost goes back to the black metal vocal style a little bit on this song because it's more raspier than what you hear on the albums previous. Next up, I got Valhalla off of Hammerheart. Next up, I have The Lake off of Blood on Ice. Next up, I have Massacre off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark. Then I have Total Destruction off of The Return. And finally, Raise the Dead off of the self-titled.
Hey, that's on my list.
Ricky? Raphael, go ahead.
Okay. I have 3 honorable mentions. I have For All Those Who Died. I have Holocaust and Raise the Dead.
Ooh, Holocaust. So I have 2, 4, 6, 7 honorable mentions. I have Born from Burning from The Return. I have Raise the Dead from the debut. I have also Sacrifice. But with Sacrifice, I actually went with the Scandinavian Metal Attack demo version, which is a lot more thrashy thrashy, a lot more heavier, more new album based. Which, not to mention, is a pretty good song.
Hmm.
Yeah, that,
I have from New Orleans one, Forever Dark Woods and Ring of Gold, which is I think Ring of Gold is one of the most beautiful songs, especially that acoustic kind of reminds me a bit of a Lord of the Rings kind of vibe. I also have from Norland one, Sea World, again beautiful song, and from the Return, last honorable mention, I have Bestial Lust Bitch, which if you read the lyrics, there's somebody one of the most sexiest lyrics you ever hear. If we ever do like a top 10 sex songs, this would be very up there on the list because kind of gets you going if you catch my drift.
you just gave me a good idea.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, and now time for the actual lists. But I shall start with Pixie's list. So for her
Mhm.
top 10, she has Ode from Destroyer of Worlds.
Mm.
Next up, Son of the Damned from The Return. Number 8,
Mhm. Yep.
The Lake from Blood on Ice.
Mhm.
Number 7, Born for Burning off of The Return.
Mhm.
Number 6, A Fine Day to Die off of Blood, Fire, Death.
Ooh.
Number 5, Raise the Dead from the self-titled.
Mhm.
Number 4, Call from the Grave off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark. Number 3, she has a tie, The Wheel of Sun from Nordland 2, and
Mhm.
Enter the Eternal Fire off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark.
Oh no! No!
That's a good one.
Number 2, Equimanthorn, I believe that's how you pronounce it, off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark. And number 1, 13 Candles off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark. And she put the reasoning. This is the only song that hasn't moved around to different spots upon the list. Her boyfriend, who passed away from a massive heart attack at 25, covered 13 Candles in one of his bands on vocals and guitar. And for a while after he passed, she couldn't listen to this song without crying. Now, though, she listens to it pretty often, and she can see and hear him playing it almost like watching a movie. It still hurts, but at the same time, it's a trigger for many good memories. Listening to it, it's bittersweet, an experience that's simultaneously agony and transcendental beauty. All right, next up, Arthur's list.
So Archer's list is a pretty good one. I mean, I almost lost my fucking mind with this list. Number 10, he has Valhalla from Hammerheart. Number 9, it's a tie. Blood, Fire, and Death, and A Fine Day to Die from Blood, Fire, Death. Number 8, yep, he has Norlands from Norland 1. Number 7 is another tie. He has Twilight of the Gods and Blood and Iron from Twilight of the Gods. Number 6, he had The Return from The Return. Number 5, Enter the fucking Eternal Fire from Under the Sign. Number 4, In Nomine Satanas from the Jubileum Project, which is quite a shocker. He went actually with a Jubilee project, which something that I forgot about the Jubilee project. Number 3, Call from the Grave from Under the Sign. Number 2, Ring of Gold from Norland 1. And his number 1, The Lake from Blood and Ice. I mean, I kind of figured I was going to go with power metal even because he's the power metal guy, you know.
Yeah.
And with Hannah's list, let me just scroll all the way up. Number 10, Shores and Fires from from Hammerheart. Number 9, The Stallion. She killed me with that one from Blood on Ice. Number 8, The Land from Blood on Ice. Number 7, she has a tie. Ring of Gold and Song to Haul Up and High. Number 6, Blood, Fire, Death. Number 5, Enter the Eternal Fire. Number 4, The Wheel of Sun. I kind of figured she would go with something like that. Number 3, The Lake. Number 2, One Road to Asa Bay. And number 1, A Fine Day to Die. It was kind of obvious she was going from Bloodfire Death.
All right. Now for our list. To start it off, at number 10, my personal favorite song off of The Return, Reap of Evil. I love the charm of how in the beginning it's a little bit sloppy with the drummer trying to play the Slayer beat at first before he finally picks up on it. It just added a nice little charm to it, and also one of the few songs where you could argue Bathory went death metal on the vocal side, because Quorthon doing the demonic growl in the middle of the song with the screaming in the background. And I can kind of see where Glenn Benton got a bit of inspiration for his vocals was from a song like that, where you got the high and low going at the same time to make it sound like a demon being possessed by another demon. So,
Nice.
and it's a really good, like, thrashy song, and I really, really like it. Number 9, of course, it's got to be Blood on Ice, the song.
Nice.
And it's crazy to think that this album originally was supposed to come out after Blood, Fire, Death. Like, a lot of the songs, like some of the parts were recorded in like 88, 89, but a lot of it got re-recorded in 96, and then we get the album in 96.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a double album from Blood and Ice to Requiem, not to confuse it with the same album that got the same name. It was supposed to be something more different. But you can find pieces of them in the Jubileum projects, and some of that stuff from the supposedly 2 albums between Blood, Fire, Death, and the rest, they're still unreleased. So there's a chance that maybe, I don't know who has the Bathory estate, could release those unreleased tracks.
Yeah, since his father, Boss, passed away 4 years ago.
So I don't know if he had any.
Maybe it's his sister, maybe?
Probably, probably. I doubt it he had any kids. I mean, that's the thing about Bathory. We don't know.
We don't know that much about the members, especially Quorthon.
From him not touring for economic reasons, for different reasons. A lot of people have said it, and thanks to the Rageaholic for putting this out. And maybe Quorthon did a tour because he couldn't physically tour. I mean, from him dying from a young age of 38, 39 years old, it's something that we still don't know. We don't even we didn't even know. I mean, this is a guy who lied his entire life. He was inspired by Venom. He was inspired by, a whole bunch of bands. To the point that he even changed his fucking name from Thomas Dorsberg to Snorka Rokrorka to Hanoi to a lot of different names. So the thing about Bathory is that we don't even know a lot about him.
Yeah. But moving on, number 8, we have Blood, Fire, Death. I mean, along with another song I'll talk about in a little bit, one of the first epics that Bathory did towards the end of the 80s, and also the first song where Quorthon starts doing clean vocals. And it was brilliant. Even though he doesn't do the clean vocals that much on the song, when he does, wow, it's such a different change in pace before he goes back to the shrieking vocals. But yeah, I mean, and again, it perfectly encapsulates that album cover right there, too, the song. Number 7, I have Hades off of the self-titled.
Number 2, okay.
But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Bathory, like early on, it's like, yeah, they were black metal, but very thrash-oriented. It's almost like Venom plastered on top of the Bay Area sound a little bit. It's like raw, party, thrashy black metal to an extent, especially on a song like Hades. It's definitely like one of them songs you'd love to like drink a beer to, it sounds like. Number 6, A Fine Day to Die.
Mhm.
Along with Odin's Ride Over Nordland and going into A Fine Day to Die. Both songs together. It was his number one. But anyways, I mean, the first big Viking epic. That,
Not to mention the amazing cover that Emperor did of A Fine Day to Die, which was a bonus track in
Nightside Eclipse. Yeah, and it's one of the most iconic metal songs of that era, and it just... But now into the top 5, and at number 5, Song to Haul Up High and Home of Once Brave.
Was it For Whom the Bell Tolls kind of vibe there?
Yeah, at the end of Home of Once Brave, you get a For Whom the Bell Tolls homage with the riff and the drums. Goes to show you that even Korthon was inspired by Metallica. Like, pretty much everybody after Metallica was inspired by Metallica, whether they want to admit it or not. And Bathory did come out after Metallica, so there you go. But, yeah, I mean, Home of Once Brave, this was one of the first of the post-black metal era that really struck me. And I used to sing this song a lot back when I used to work at the golf course picking up range balls, and I'd have my phone playing songs while I'm doing that, and I would sing that song. It's such a beautiful song and a great, like, Viking march is what I would call it, because it has like that marching beat to it. But yeah, that was my number 5. At number 4, Call from the Grave off of Under the Sign of the Black Mark. I mean, I talked about, I heard the song the first time on Grand Theft Auto 4, Lost in the Damned, and it scared me a little bit. And it is one of the best black metal songs of all time. And hell, there's a great live cover Enslaved did with Attila from Mayhem, Nocturno Culto of Darkthrone, and the late great LG Petrov from Entombed, where they all come up on stage together to play that song in Oslo, I believe, on a tour in like 2011, I believe. And what a magical moment that was for all of them, you know, especially for, you know, Nocturno Culto and LG, considering Darkthrone basically ripped off Bathory in every way possible when they went black metal, but in the best way possible. And LG, because fellow Swede, and he was inspired by Bathory into playing in Entombed, and Morbid even. But yeah, Call from the Grave. And also that lyric in the beginning of the lyrics, you know, where he's like, can no one hear my plea? Like, he's just basically asking to die so he can be sent to heaven or hell, depending on what the gods tell him. But number 3, One Road to Asabe off of Hammerheart. And it's a shame it's the only song that got a music video for Bathory, but what a music video it was. You know, and this is also one of the first Bathory songs I had heard through YouTube compilations that I came across back in like 2012, 2013, somewhere in that period. And I mean, arguably the greatest Viking metal song of all time. And I say arguable because of my number 2. Now, between these two, it was so tough because these are my 2 favorite Bathory songs of all time. Even though I've listened to my number 2 song more lately than number 1. But at number 2, Blood and Iron from Twilight of the Gods. I mean, probably, like I said, along with One Road to Asabe, the best Viking metal song of all time, Blood and Iron. You know, you start off with this beautiful acoustic intro that's kind of classical to an extent before it kicks right into the song. And probably, in my opinion, Korthon's best vocal performance was on this song in terms of the clean side. And it's also another one of my favorite sing-along songs as well. And it makes me wish that this song would be in a Thor soundtrack. You know,
I mean, it could. I mean, knowing the director, being a metal
putting
fan, you never know.
Zeppelin, putting in Zeppelin and Ragnarok, and now Dio in the new one coming out next year.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
there's
why
a
not?
chance.
Why not do it? Just do it. If
And put in Amon Amarth, and put in
do it.
Unleashed, and put in Borknagar.
Put some
Amon
man on
Amarth.
Why not?
Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 2, Blood and Iron. And then finally at number 1, Enter the Eternal Fire. Anyways, but yeah, Enter the Eternal Fire, what more can I say other than the greatest black metal song ever written? You know? Better than Freezing Moon, better than Inoa Satana, even though those are great songs in their own right. They wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Enter the Eternal Fire. You know, that marching doom march with the song, and a great guitar solo with the epic scream at the end. Just black metal perfection is all I can say. Raphael.
Okay. For number 10, I have Destroyer of Worlds. From Destroyer of Worlds. Number 9, I have Seawolf.
Ooh, SeaWorld from Norland.
Number 8, I have War Machine. Number 7, I have To Enter Your Mountain.
Not bad.
Number 6, Call from the Grave.
I'm under the sign. Yeah.
5 from Bloodfire Death. Number 4, no, wait. Yeah, number 6 was Bloodfire Death. Number 5 is Shores in Flames. Number 4, Total Destruction. Number 3, Sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
No, wait, number 3 was Total Destruction. Number 2, Sacrifice. Number 1, A Fine Way to Die.
Ooh, A Fine Way to Die. Yeah, a lot of love for A Fine Day to Die.
All right, Ricky, the floor is yours, pal.
So my number 10, and I'm surprised nobody has mentioned this. No one mentioned this song from the debut, Reaper. I mean, talk about a fast 2-minute, 3-minute song talking about the Reaper. I mean, coming to get you. You know, I just love that vocal chorus song, all that screeching, kind of like a Lemmy-esque down Chronos kind of vibe there that it gives you. I love that song. Number 9 from Bloodfire Death, The Golden Walls of Heaven. I love that intro, kind of like almost like machine guns being blasting through the heavens, and then you have the big battle at the very between the gods and the humans, or the gods and the gods, you know, just battling out there. And just this album cover. I mean, that album cover, perfect example of what you're listening to. Yes, I mean, when you're in, it could be heaven. I mean, hell, wanting to get into heaven. You know, golden walls of heaven, trying to break the golden walls of heaven. Sometimes it is still trying to get to heaven. A bit of notch to the wrestling fans there.
Yep.
Yeah.
My number 8 from Under the Sign, Woman of Dark Desires.
I forgot about that one.
I was gonna say, how could you forget the song about Elizabeth Bathory? The life and death, torture, horror, that magnificent, the iconic Elizabeth Bathory. Come on. It's one of the most iconic Bathory songs out there, and it's, I guess, the adding of the keyboards, which is another thing that Bathory began, adding keyboards to their songs, which later inspired bands like Dimmu Borgir.
Emperor.
But that's a different story. Emperor. But that's a different story. But again, number 8, A Woman of Dark Desires. Number 7 from Blood, Fire, Death, A Fine Day to Die. Again, a lot of love for Fine Day to Die, but it's like core song says, it is a fine day to die, no matter if you're happy or you're sad or you're angry or you're pissed off. It's a fine day to die. Talk about how you start off the album with this, acoustic song with this pure chanting, like sorry, kind of like you're almost kind of to ascend to heaven, and when hell breaks loose, when this epic battle begins to happen and just a dun, 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 I mean, and how much of an underrated guitarist Corson was. It showed the power of his potential. Number 6 from Hammerheart, One Road to Asa Bay. If you're gonna end an album, this is a perfect way to end an album. And it's the only song to ever get a music video, which is a shame that Bathory didn't have more music videos. I would have loved the music video for Woven with Dark Desires. I would have loved the
A music video for Blood and Iron with all the four battles and stuff.
Yes, it will be amazing. But again, his love letter to his motherland of Sweden, with the Viking and all that. This is when Corson was at this time was more oriented into the Viking mythos, and of course he did that for like two more records, of course, with the Norlands and Blood and Ice. But One Road to Asa Bay, talk about epicness, beautiful calling, a bit of not his traditional vocals, more of a kind of calm, more of a he actually was singing, not like the screeching vocals. But again, beautiful song, beautiful. Number 5 from Blood on Ice, my favorite song with this song, The Stallion. Try to listen to this song while playing some Dungeons and Dragons or some freaking, any kind of dungeon game. Try to listen to that song. It'll fucking blow your mind and tear you a fucking new asshole. Especially to the point that this song is so power metal oriented. The freaking chorus, the dun 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 dun. I mean, Man of War, anybody? Blind Guardian, anybody? Just saying.
That explains where Blind Guardian got Twilight of the Gods from.
Number 4 from Twilight of the Gods, Under the Runes. I love that little section in the middle, the dun 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 dun. I don't know. I guess it's a more slower song, more, I guess, an homage to his, again, to Sweden, to the Vikings. I die to go on. I just love that chorus so much. Like, just give me the chills just thinking about it. Number 3 from, again, Blood, Fire, Death. The title track, Blood, Fire, Death. For a while, I want to say, when I first get into Bathory, this was probably my favorite Bathory song ever, because it's a 10-minute song, and it's the conclusion of this epic battle. The ending of, it's kind of like the end of the world. Blood, fire, death, destruction, everything. And I just love the ending of the song. And let me get the lyrics. I don't know them by heart, which is a shame that I don't know them by heart. I think they're some of the most brutal lyrics that Corson ever wrote on Blood, Fire, Death. Trinity of all slaves, unite the proud, rise to the darkness and pain. A chariot of thunder and gold will come loud when a warrior with thunder and rain. With hair as white as snow, hammer of steel to set you free of your chains. And to lead you on where horses run free and the souls of your ancient ones reign. How could epic you can't end with that freaking end?
Exactly.
And this is one of those songs that if we were in a band, I would love to cover. Like everyone having their little moment. The bass has a moment, the drums have a moment, the guitars have a moment, the vocals have a moment. Everything has their own little spot to shine. And I don't know why, I love the song. Number 2. From the debut, Hades. To start off the album, even though the little solo intro
the Storm of Damnation intro.
Yeah, you can add that too there because it set up the album. But This is our first introduction to Ace's vocals, and just forever and darkness, oh, the valley of Hades, talking about Hades, the Reaper, the Grim Reaper, and I just love the song so much. So thrashy, punky, fast, not so short, but then powerful, kicks you right in the nuts. Ah. And my number one from my favorite album, Under the Sun of the Black Mark, Enter the Eternal Fire. Satanic, doomy vocals. You have a little bit of keyboards there. You have the little mini section of the guitar. Corton's vocals were getting better by this time, and a performance that I think he never outperformed. To Enter the Eternal Fire is you can use that song in so many occasions. You can use that song when you're in war, leading up to war. I mean, I can almost think like a marching song in a way. The dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
And
just
then
the rhythm is very like military march sounding.
Yeah, even the bells, the little bells, the chung, at the very end, and his vocals, the screaming at the end, kind of like saying that haunting vocals that it does. But again, my number one, Enter the Eternal Fire.
And now the real work begins, putting together the final 10.
Let me get ready. Let me get my freaking notepad here. Oh god, it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
I think given how high Enter the Eternal Fire was for a lot of people, I feel that should go straight to 1.
So number 1, Enter
the Eternal Fire.
Enter the Eternal Fire. Number 2, I was thinking we could put Blood, Fire, Death, because we all had it a lot higher.
Yeah.
So,
and then number 3, I could give number 3 a nod to like Call from the Grave.
Or you want to go,
or Fine Day to Die.
I Fine Day to Die. I think number 2 will go better.
Yeah, so
That's
put that at
fine.
3, and then Call from the Grave at 4. 5, I feel like 5 we should give that to One Road to Asabe.
Yeah, Call from the Grave. And number 5,
The One Road to Asabe.
Road Asabe. Okay, now 6 to 10. That's gonna be difficult because from there on we had like
So many different varieties of songs.
So I want to incorporate a lot of, the entire history of Bathory, like maybe like on some of the albums. So right now we have, mostly we have from just Hammerheart, Under the Sign, and Blood, Fire, Death.
Yeah,
So
I think
from
at
the
6. I think at 6 I could go Hades at 6.
Yeah, Hades should be good. So Hades thing should be good.
And
Now,
then 7,
The
Woman of Dark Desires.
Woman of Dark
I would say
Desires,
put that
yeah.
there because it should have been on my list, so that was a big oversight on my part. Number 8, I think number 8 we should give that to either Born for Burning or The Lake.
The Lake.
I'd say we
The
go
Lake.
with The Lake.
Because I missed The Lake. That's one of those songs that I completely forgot. So I think The Lake will give that notch to The Lake.
All right,
Number
then
9.
number 9 we could go.
Out of 9.
I'd say Blood and Iron should be in there.
I'm trying to think here what else that was mentioned that we forgot. Because I know there's a lot of songs that we didn't. Let me go to Hannah's and Archer's stuff. There's something that we're completely forgetting here. Let's see. We've actually for the Grave we mentioned Into the Eternal Fire, Blood, Fire, Death, Fine Day to Die. World War II Asa Bay, we mentioned. I want to go for the last two songs more. Do we have anything from the Return, though? We don't have anything from
I
the
was gonna
Return.
say maybe we should have Blood and Iron and Born for Burning. The final two. Because I think the song from the Return that got the most love was Born for Burning or Total Destruction.
I think I'm between Total Destruction and War for Burning. That's the thing. But we will be missing something from Twilight of the Gods.
Well, Blood and Iron's on Twilight of the Gods.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, so I guess just put Blood and Iron as
Blood and Iron, and then between Born for Burning or Total Destruction. You know what? Twitch poll. I'm gonna do a Twitch poll.
Yeah, do
Which
it, yeah.
song from... hang on. Which song from The Return should be in the top 10? Born for Burning
or Total
Destruction?
Let's see what the fans say.
2 minutes to vote.
All right, get voting.
I thought it was gonna be a lot bloodier, in my opinion.
This was fairly easy.
Well, yeah, because I know Hannah, she would have killed me if we didn't have a Fine Day to Die, because she told me she wanted that on the list, so that's taken care of. The Lake, I know Archer was begging for it, so I know that's on the list.
And the one song I was begging, Blood and Iron, it's in, so there you go.
Yeah, so I guess we're kind of... Maybe because, I don't know, maybe Bathory is one of those bands that... It's like I mentioned before, we don't actually know the truth. Like, I would love a documentary about Bathory, but the closest we have is Razor Fist Metal Methods, which it's my favorite metal methods he has ever done, because, you know, that's his favorite band, and he just talks about, you know, from the albums to fucking shitting on Requiem and Hot to God, which I love the way he roasts those albums so much.
I am gonna eventually get those albums just to have them in to complete Bathory.
I mean, with me,
and I have a soft spot for the thrashier end of the Bathory sound. So
I mean, with me, with my collection, I think if I get Destroyer Worlds, I should be fine. Because that's the one I am gonna potentially.
Because that is an oddity in the catalog. It's like the combination of the Viking stuff with the thrash from Requiem and Octagon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they tried to combine it, and it did make for an epic heavy sound, from what I have heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say out of all the Bathory albums, that's probably the one I've had the least amount of attention to.
And of course, we're forgetting the Jubileum Project. We're forgetting the freaking...
And we got a winner. We got a winner. Born for Burning.
Born for Burning. And we also forgot his self-titled album, the one he did before doing Requiem and Octagon.
Yeah, the grunge album he did.
Which
actually isn't bad. It's not bad. A lot of people like to shit on it because, it's Kurthon doing grunge. Who cares?
It's music. Just go for it.
It was a good album, and he loves alternative rock.
All right, so the list right now from 10 to 1. Number 10, Born from Burning from The Return. Number 9, Blood on Ice from... Oh, wait, was it Blood on Ice? Or
it was Blood and Iron.
Blood and
Iron.
Blood and Iron. Hold on. Blood and Iron. Blood and Iron from Twilight of the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, The Lake from Blood on Ice. Number 7, Woman of Dark Desires from Under the Sign. Number 6, Hades from the debut. Number 5, One Road to Asabe from Hammerheart. Number 4, Call from the Grave from Under the Sign. Number 3, A Fine Day to Die from Blood, Fire, Death. Number 2, Blood, Fire, Death from Blood, Fire, Death. And the cream of the crop, Into the Churn of Fire from Under the Sun of the Black Mark. Everyone good with the list? Everyone good with it?
Yep.
Speak now. Forever
Once,
hold your
twice.
peace. Going once. Going
Sold.
twice.
Sold! So, the final top 10 Bathory songs. At number 10, Born for Burning. Number 9, Blood and Iron. Number 8, The Lake. Number 7...
And
Oh, crap. Number 7. Oh, shit.
was it Woman with Desires?
Yeah,
Woman
Woman
of
of Dark
Desires.
Desires. Number 6, Hades. Number 5, One Road to Asabe. Number 4, Call from the Grave. Number 3, A Fine Day to Die. Number 2, Blood, Fire, Death. And number 1, Enter the Eternal Fire. Or wait, let me try it. The Eternal Fire!
Oh, no, wait. Let me try. Woman of Dark Desires. Elizabeth Bathory.
Or my impression of from Reap of Evil. Satan reigns.
I mean, and again, it gets to show how much Bathory has influenced.
So many
Extreme
styles. Black metal, death metal, thrash, folk, power metal, even doom metal to some degree.
Yeah, I guess
Even-
us. We can't meet Corthon anymore.
I know.
Even a bit of industrial, you think about it. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, when it came to drum programming and stuff.
Yeah, those.
But I
That's
tell
for
you
the
what,
crowd.
if I can somehow manage to get Dan Swano on the show sometime,
Mhm.
I already know one question I want to ask him, and that is, did he ever hang out with Corthon, considering they were, Bathory and Edge of Sanity were on the same label together for a long time.
I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they must have met maybe once or twice.
Yeah, considering Corthon's dad produced the first Edge of Sanity album.
Just for fun, top 3 Bathory albums.
Under the Sign of Black Mark, Blood, Fire, Death, and Hammerheart.
For me, had to be Under the Sign, Blood, Fire, Death, and oh shit, that's where it's gonna get tough.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of great ones. You could go to self-titled. You could go Twilight of the Gods. You can go Nordland.
I'm gonna go with the subtitle just for the iconic goat's head.
And the reason I go with my 3 of Under the Sign, Blood, Fire, Death, and Hammerheart is because, yeah, those are 3 straight, but they all were key transition points. You know, Under the Sign of Black Mark, the greatest black metal album of all time. Blood, Fire, Death, where you're starting to get the transition into the Viking stuff while retaining black metal, but also being much more thrashy than any of their albums prior. And then Hammerheart, where you get the epic, doomy, folky stuff with the Viking ethos. And all clean vocals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all 3 of those albums, key transitions in 3 straight albums. And it goes to show you that they never stayed the same sound. They always changed a lot, which was really cool. You know, the first album, raw, Nawabum, Venom, thrashy black metal. The Return, where they started to craft the black metal a little bit by incorporating that black metal blast beat. And then Under the Sign of Black Mark, the most raw, the fastest, the most vicious, the most evil. Blood, Fire, Death, where you're getting the thrash stuff again, but the introduction to the Viking epics. Hammerheart, perfecting the Viking epic. Twilight of the Gods, more doomy and traditional metal and classical inspired. Requiem and Octagon, definitely more thrashy or groove metal at times than Blood on Ice, where you get back to the folky Viking stuff. Destroyer of Worlds, combining the Viking and the thrash. And then Nordland, the most folky of them all, along with Hammerheart. So every album is always something different.
The albums I got: Twilight of the Gods, Blood on Ice, and Blood, Fire, Death. Those are the top 3 Bathory albums.
I mean, Bathory is one of those bands that you can technically say they've never released a bad album.
Yeah, because even Requiem and Octagon, they're not terrible. They're just not up to par compared to the rest of the catalog. And it's also part of that experimental phase that a lot of extreme metal bands went through in the mid-90s. And to Corthon's credit, he did those albums because he was heavily inspired by Bay Area thrash metal bands like Metallica and Slayer and Exodus and all those bands, and he kind of wanted to do his own version. Whether it worked, that's all up for certain people. Like, I know for Ricky it didn't. For me, I like them for what they were supposed to be. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm just imagining if Corson would have still been around. Can you imagine the epicness of music he would have released?
Oh yeah, and he was supposed to have done it. For Nordland was supposed to have been 4 albums, and he didn't get to finish.
Can you imagine that?
A 4-part epic. Ooh.
Oof, that would have been like.
No, and I'm pretty sure the concerts would have been sold out.
If he would have gotten other members and gotten the tour, then oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't think Corton would have toured because, like I mentioned before, maybe he couldn't physically tour because we don't know why he never toured. Of course, there was like maybe 1 or 2 gigs he did when he was in the early days, but never a full-on tour. I mean, this is a guy that went to the States on a promotional tour and told his booking agent to not tell anybody he was coming to the States. What a fine way of a promotional tour.
Yeah. And some bands back in that era did promotional tours, whether it be just to promote stuff or to play, but not get paid as much. Like, take Sodom on the Persecution Mania tour in Europe. They said themselves it was basically a promotional thing because there was no money left by the end of the tour because they had spent it all on booze and shit.
I mean, and Corson, kind of a bit of a hipster at times. If you think about it, a bit, not a lot.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why he would fucking lie his nuts off from Boss not being his father. He lied about that to he not being inspired by Venom to inspired from power metal to I don't know, the mystique of Bathory spin that we don't know.
We don't know that much about Corthon or anybody else.
We might.
It's like the only member we know anything about is Jonas Åkerlund, the original drummer, because of the career he's had in directing films and music videos.
And I think he left before the first album.
Yeah.
But he is a member technically. I mean, I guess
with the name Vance McBurger of all names. Like what?
Which every time I hear that name, it just wants me to get some McDonald's. Vance McBurger.
Now wants some burgers now.
But for those of you who want to hear more about Corthon and understand the story of him, check out the Bathory Hammerheart promotional tour documentary, where he actually does an interview for Headbangers Ball Europe, promoting the music video to One Road to Asa Bay, and that was the closest you ever heard Corthon admit he was inspired by Bathory when he said, then along came this Newcastle band about 8 years ago, referencing Venom, so...
Yeah. And if you like, you can also watch the Rageaholics Metal Missiles and Bathory, which he does a perfect job of, through the entire era of Bathory from the beginning to, the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Levi, what's next episode going to be about?
Oh, yeah, the next episode. One of the big ones that we've been alluding to for years now. A discussion about one of our mutual favorite albums, The Satanist by Behemoth. But after that...
album of the Unholy Trinity.
Of the big three that we all mutually love. The Mantle, To the Nameless Dead, and The Satanist. Now, as far as what albums we'll cover in the future, we got quite a few. Like, we could do Master of Puppets, we could do Number of the Beast, we could do Back in Black, we can do Leprosy, Left Hand Path, De Mysterious, Night Side Eclipse. So many we can go through. But a little surprise, a little breaking news for perhaps the episode after The Satanist, which would probably be most likely be early August. We might get our second big time musician interview on the show. We had Daniel DK back in September. That was amazing. But the next guy we're looking to get, a guitar player from one of my favorite death metal bands of all time, Jeremy Wagner from Broken Hope.
I was gonna say, it ain't Dan Swano, believe me, people. As much as I love Dan Swano, I wish you could have him on the show.
I'm gonna try and get a hold of him and see if we can get him on for the future.
But knowing Levi, he's gonna be all fanboying the fuck out.
You think? You think so?
You're gonna show him all your Broken Hope list.
Yeah, I mean, hell, he's seen my Instagram post and he liked it. So there you go.
Or he could say, imagine Dan Swano says, "I have a friend I want you all to meet. Michael, meet the Horsemen podcast." And we're like, "Oh my God, it's Michael Ackerfeld."
Maybe we could get him someday. Who knows? Perhaps this podcast is going to evolve to going every other time, doing a list and then an interview.
I mean, we're always open up for ideas.
Absolutely. But with all that said and done, that does it for tonight or today's episode. Next time it'll be the Behemoth the Satanist discussion. Soon, we shall see. But until then, horns high, and we will see you in the next one.